happens, right, that sometimes we meet a person and we're just instantly drawn towards them, drawn towards what they're saying. If we meet them in a social gathering, we just hit it off with them like a house on fire. We want to know them better. We want to know how they achieved what they did. We want to know the struggles they faced. We want to know how they react in difficult situations, right? And then there are some people who are so forgettable that we don't even remember we ever met them. So I believe that there are certain people that we meet in life who have a very, very strong impact on us, and they help us shape our own personalities. Sometimes we don't even know it at that time. We get to know it much later. My mom always told me when I was a child that, Chhavi, keep good company. Because you are the company you keep. Honestly, I didn't really understand it back then, but somehow by default, this has become one of the strongest mottos that I live by today. I'm very careful about the people that I hang with, and I'm very mindful about the feelings that they evoke inside me. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it aggression? Is it insecurity? Is it confidence? Self-love? What is it? And a lot of times in life, we also see a shift, a change in the company that we keep. And every time that there's a shift in the company that we keep, in a way, we're upgrading ourselves. We're elevating ourselves. Obviously, then, the people that are there in your life are very, very important, because you must have heard that you are the byproduct of the people that surround you. I like to look at it in a way like, okay, lame analogy, but you've loved paneer bhurji for years, and now suddenly you've elevated to paneer butter masala. Very lame, but let me tell you how I apply this in my own life, how I learned to live by this in my own life. So I started out as a singer, and if I may flex, I was really good. I was a child prodigy. I started performing on stage at the age of 7. Never had a stage performance which was not met with a standing ovation, where people stand up and clap for you. So it was really good. And yet, I did not choose that as a career option. Sometimes I think I should have, maybe, who knows where I would have been today. But when I look back in retrospect, I know that it was right for me then. And then suddenly it wasn't. It was time to move on. But in my journey as a singer, I interacted with some of the best musicians of the country, some of the best singers of the country. Some of them are really big names today. And all of these people that I interacted with had one thing in common. They were disciplined. I did my master's in Indian classical music, vocal, and as a vocalist, I've learned ghazals, I've learned classical singing, light music, Bollywood, voice culture. I had different teachers for everything. And they all told me one thing, that if you really want to be the best, you should wake up at the wee hours of the morning and do your practice. This has a twofold effect. One is that it's very peaceful at that time, no disturbance, so you can really concentrate and focus on your skill. And the second is that the vocal cords that you awaken at that hour, you don't hit them any other time of the day. I've learned it through experience also. And come to think of it, this discipline that I followed at that time, it never felt like drudgery. I woke up every morning, did my practice, went to school, came back home, did my classes, repeated the whole thing again the next day. It did not feel like drudgery, because this is what I was learning from the people who were around me. Doing this was the normal, and not doing this was something out of the ordinary. And when I talk about discipline, I don't just mean waking up in the morning, I also mean the lifestyle. Not eating, consuming cold drinks, no spicy food, no junk food, no burgers, no biryanis, no chocolates, right? And just think about how amazingly discipline was so deeply ingrained into my character at that time. I didn't even realize it at that time. I'll give an example, an anecdote of Bismillah Khan. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was a very, very renowned Shehnai player that the world has ever seen. He brought Shehnai into the Indian classical music. So discipline, right? You travel with your discipline. You don't leave it behind when you travel. So Bismillah Khan was traveling, and he was staying at a hotel, And he woke up early morning before sunrise and he was practicing his Shehnai and oblivious to the fact that he may be disturbing other guests in the hotel. So a fellow guest walks up to him, knocks on his door and tells him, "Hey, who do you think you are? Bismillah Khan? Please take it elsewhere." And humble as Bismillah Khan was, he took his Shehnai and he went out of the hotel, found a quiet spot, practiced, because practice he must. Right? So today I know that if I set out to achieve a task and I fail for whatever reason, I know it will not be because of lack of discipline, because disciplined I am to the core, and hardworking. Because I know that hard work gets you to places where nothing else does. And then suddenly one day it was time for me to move on to the television industry. Started getting noticed for my drop-dead gorgeous looks. Thank you so much. But jokes apart, this was an industry where I saw a work ethic which I have not seen anywhere else. You must have heard the idiom, the show must go on. It applies so aptly to the television industry. You're sick, you show up. You have a broken back, you show up. You have a fractured bone, you show up. You're going through a mental breakdown, you show up. You lose a loved one, you show up. I was 24 years old when I had my first slip disc. I've had 7, 8 or 9 maybe since then, but who's counting? But that time, my whole world came crashing down. I thought my life is over, and I thought my career is over even before it started. My first show was supposed to go on air in like a matter of days. And I told my producer, I said, "I'm really sorry, I've wasted all your time and energy and so much money you put behind me, and now you just have to reshoot everything. I'm so sorry." And he just looked at me like, "What are you talking about? You just got an injury. You show up and eventually you'll recover. You just let us know how we can make it comfortable for you on the set." I said, "Oh, is that also an option? Okay." So I showed up. I told them that you put a bed for me behind the camera and I'll go in front of the camera, give my shot, come back, lie down between shots, and in a running shot, I'll either stand or sit. I can't sit in a running shot, or if I'm sitting, I can't stand. We agreed upon that, and I think it took me around 2 months to recover from that. Then there was this one time I was working with a creative director who cut his finger. When I say cut his finger, I don't mean he was chopping vegetables. He actually lost a part of his finger. He went to the hospital, got it treated, and showed up. Now here's a man who's not even in front of the camera. It's not like the episode is not going to telecast if he doesn't show up. But he showed up because that is the work ethic which is built in the television industry. The sense of responsibility, the sense of commitment which is built there. This one time, this actor had an accident. His airbags opened up in the car. And traumatic as it was, he put the car on the side and he took an auto and showed up. Yeah? Figuring out how the car is going to be picked up and repaired is all secondary. So I learned in my stint with all these people around me in the television industry that you never feel sorry for yourself. You always show up no matter what. And I realized that we are all in this together. Everybody is going through their own set of problems, but everybody shows up. You show up and you don't expect special treatment. And when somebody else is going through something, you're sensitive towards them, but you don't give them special treatment because you've come to work, you've got to do what you got to do. So, elevating from paneer bhurji to paneer butter masala, right? And then suddenly one day I was a mother. Crazy work culture that I come from, and suddenly a stay-at-home mom. And I'm interacting with this baby. Can't talk, she doesn't smile, she cries for everything, she cries. Right? And I'm not going to lie, it was very frustrating initially. I'm interacting with the baby, with nannies, with other babies, other parents, teachers, playgroups. And in my interaction with all these people, I discovered a very important part of my own personality. I realized that while I love being a mom, I hate being just a mom. I need to be something more than that. 2 years passed in my realization of this, and that is the time that my husband, Mohit, and I, we decided to start Shitty Ideas Trending. We wanted to be responsible parents, give as much time as possible home and also elevate ourselves. And it is in my journey as a content creator that I realized that the part that I was playing as an actor was very, very small. And at that point I thought, oh my God, I'm an actor, everybody knows me, I'm so good at what I do, I'm a singer, I'm disciplined, I'm hardworking, yay, I've done it all. But when I started interacting with people who were behind the scenes, the pre-production team, the post-production team, people who are actually bringing everything together, is when I realized what a small part of the whole sphere I was. And I also discovered so many hidden talents within me, and I realized that I'm so much more than just being a singer or an actor. When I would sit at the editing table with the editor, I would realize that I have a keen sense of editing. I know my music because I have a music background. I know how to cut a piece on the beat. I know what music goes well with what scene. I know my transitions, and there's so much that I learned from them. As a script writer, when I would sit in a writer's room, I realized that I'm pathetic at ideation. It's not my cup of tea. My ideas are so cliche, so daily soap. But I realized that my strong suit is screenplay and dialogue writing. So that's where I built my skill. And then I interacted with the Facebookers and the YouTubers of the world, and this was a whole new world of possibilities which opened in front of me. And to think that when I started my Instagram journey, I think it was launched in 2012, if I'm not wrong, or 13. I thought it's a photo editing app. So I would go in the app, I would edit my personal picture and say, wow, this looks amazing, save. And I didn't even know that this picture is going there somewhere on the public domain where people can actually see it, like it, dislike it, troll me, follow me. I didn't even know that. To today, when I know exactly how to differentiate between an Insta versus Facebook versus YouTube, what is the kind of content that works on which platform, what is the pace that a video needs on a platform, what is the time of upload, what is the metadata required. I know it like the back of my hand because I've interacted with the best in the business. So, paneer bhurji to paneer butter masala. I was becoming a stronger, a wiser version of myself, right? Upgrading my iOS through the people that I was meeting. And then life takes you on a path where you end up meeting some people who you really don't want to meet. They're amazing at what they do, but you don't want to interact with them. I was forced to interact with a bunch of these people 2 years ago when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Oncologists, doctors, you don't want to meet them. You don't want to know that you have breast cancer, right? But at this point, imagine how the pieces of the whole puzzle just fell into place. The years of interaction with people that had given me amazing characteristics to my personality just kicked into action. My sense of hard work, my discipline, my not feeling sorry for myself, my always showing up attitude, never say die, it all kicked into action, and I was able to, sail through that whole bad period of my life. Elevating to Chhavi 2.0. And in my interaction with the doctors, I also ended up interacting with a lot of fellow survivors. I interacted with caregivers, people who were still fighting with the disease. And a lot of impact, as much as the impact that these people had on my life, I also realized that it was my time to give back also. So it was my turn to create value in somebody else's life and stop expecting. And I realized that I can also be a giver rather than just a receiver or a recipient. Paneer bhurji to paneer butter masala right here. In fact, while paneer butter masala, I think I was elevating to grilled paprika paneer, low fat, high protein. Wow. And I realized that my interaction with all these people also brought me face to face with a completely different world which I didn't know existed. Here was a world which I had created for myself, with my set of problems, or problems related to kids, problems related to business. And here there was this entire world of people who were just struggling to simply survive. And I wanted to sort of open my horizons and bring these two worlds together so that my world could become bigger. So, elevating. I want to leave all of you today with a simple thought. I want to say that continue meeting people in life, continue to be receptive towards your own feelings when you meet these people, continue to elevate yourselves through them. Continue to discover yourselves through them. And just because you have one feather in your hat doesn't mean you can have 10 more. Don't restrict yourselves. And just because you're in the corporate world today doesn't mean you can't be the best stand-up comic or a gamer, so to speak. Just because you're a great cricketer today doesn't mean you cannot be a great footballer tomorrow. Just because you've created one empire for yourself doesn't mean you cannot create 10 more. So continue to elevate. And just because you like paneer bhurji today doesn't mean you can't like grilled paprika paneer tomorrow, right? So elevate, continue to grow. And I know that when I created this version for myself, which I felt was stronger and wiser, there is a name that I gave to this version. So even today when I have like a difficult task that I want to achieve, a challenge that I want to sort of conquer, there is a voice inside my head that says, Chavinder Singh Sodhi, you've got this. That's not my name, but it's just a name that comes to mind when I think of my alter ego. And I would just want to say that you guys have so many battles to win, and so do I. I know that I have a lot of mountains to climb, a lot of challenges to conquer, and I know I'll do it because Chavinder Singh Sodhi, you've got this. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope I was able to bring some value to that.